What if one everyday food could help stop prostate enlargement? As you can tell, this is an episode for the guys, but ladies, stay tuned because it could make a huge difference in your man's life. We're going to show you how you can have zero side effects, more benefits than the top medications on the market. So stay tuned right after this. Welcome, everybody. This is the Life Enthusiast online podcast, restoring vitality to you and the planet. I'm your host, Scott Patton. Joining us, as usual, health coach Martin Patella. How are you doing today, Martin?
I'm good, and I'm a manly, and I just sat down to pee a moment ago. I'm back.
All right.
And I had to sit down because I've been doing too much sitting down. Let's unpack it. This story is about the prostate.
That's right. We're going to be talking about one of the major problems men have as they grow older. Before we get into it, just want to remind everybody, like, subscribe, and share this with your friends. You've got male friends all over the place. Hit the share button, send it to them so they can get better. And afterwards, there are still certain things that we cannot say on the mainstream social media sites. We go to Telegraph. t.me/life&co when we're done this show to talk about the things that we can't talk about on the show. And we would be remiss if we didn't say, hi, George, good to see you. Glad that you're joining us today. Sit down, get your roast beef and turkey sandwiches and wash them down with a bottle of kefir, and let's get going.
Yes. Okay. Prostate.
So what's the prostate and why should guys care?
So the prostate is an organ size of about a walnut, a golf ball, and it sits at the back end of the penis, and it straddles the urethra. So the P line comes through it, and the prostate is a little pump that actually pumps out the ejaculation when the man is having his orgasm, among things. So if you have no prostate, you will never have another ejaculation. So the operation that they often do, prostate removal, is going to deprive you of any chance of having an orgasm, and it will also possibly make you incontinent. So it's not fun.
That doesn't sound good at all.
And I don't promise it. So there are two problems with men's prostate. One is cancer. If you have cancer, they will probably want to remove it because they want to remove it. That's the surgical way. Although it is said that prostate cancer moves very slowly. So if you're 70, they tell you, well, you'll die of something else other than prostate cancer, even if you have that. That used to be true until turbo cancer showed up.
Right.
So no longer a guarantee of a slow moving cancer. So don't treat it lightly. It is something that you definitely need to pay attention to. If you have it, work with it.
Okay.
The stuff that we can do more about is called hyperplasia. Hyperplasia as in it's swelling up. And if it's swelling up, it's also swelling in. And since that line goes through, now your urethra is getting squeezed and you're having a hard time peeing. And so you're needing to force more only to dribble, or you have to dribble very often. Both are unpleasant.
You want a fire hose when you go to the can. Basically, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, you want to do the horse affair.
I don't know if this is appropriate or not, Martin, but you just reminded me of a time when a buddy of mine and I went hiking in the mountains with my son, Jason, who was 13 at the time. Okay. So we're hiking, and we come along this ridge, right? So the path goes along a ridge and it's just straight down So I think, oh, this is a great place. I got to pee. So I go up to it, piss, and it goes like 4 feet. My buddy comes along. He's bigger than me and everything. He pisses, it goes 5 feet. My son comes along. I swear it was 30 feet. We're just looking at this stream coming out of this little kid, and we could not believe it.
And that's what happens when you're young and strong. I remember we were doing pissing contests in my grade school. I think I was grade 6, 7, 8. And we were trying to, this is old school. We had this, our toilet was a wall that was painted with tar, and it had a little ditch at the end, and the ditch was slanted and it just went into a hole.
I remember those.
And this was cleaned up by hosing the whole thing down. Right? But anyway, there was a window above the tar line, and the window was about head height. And so the contest was to see who can piss out the window. Those were the days. We were
You never
young,
walked close
strong.
to that window when you were on the outside, did you?
Right. Okay, so another piece of intimate news is this. When you have a strong, healthy prostate, when you ejaculate, you're going to shoot a good distance and rip through newspaper that is held in front of you if somebody do that. When you get older, and your prostate loses its squeeze power, you will have an ejaculation that looks like toothpaste coming out of a tube. It just sort of comes out. So, news about old men, they don't have ejaculations that shoot through a distance.
It's sad but true.
All right, so that's that. So that's the prostate. The pump is losing its strength and its flexibility. And as it's swelling, it's choking the tube. All of which is bad news. Prevention.
So does testosterone, just so everybody knows, I have an outline, and we talked about it beforehand, and Martin says, I can tell you why all these things are wrong, which is another example of why the mainstream says something, and then when you actually get into it, it doesn't really help. So we're going to...
Okay, tell me your outline. Give me your argument.
Well, first of all, is what causes the growth. And it probably is, it talks about converting testosterone to DHT. And it increases...
dehydrotestosterone. Yeah, so there are two pathways of decomposing testosterone, the correct way and the incorrect way. And the incorrect way is DHT. And one thing it does, it causes male pattern baldness, losing it over here. You are a poor liver health guy because this conversion happens in the liver.
And what do I always have problems with? My liver.
Yeah, you nearly died because
liver formula is something I take a bottle of extra new liver formula I take every 3 months.
Now you do.
Now I do.
It nearly killed you before then, right?
Yes.
I mean, your liver nearly failed you, is what
it did. It stopped. It just stopped. But we don't want to get into that. We want to get into the testosterone problems that we have here.
Okay, so the DHT is the wrong pathway. It's a young guy will have about 1,000 mg per dl or whatever units of testosterone. A 30-year-old will have 700, and 40-year-old will have 500, and 70-year-old will have less than 100 or whatever, something like that, right? Anyway, the more testosterone, the more manliness. And of course, there's this thing called andropause, or the old man disease, where when your testosterone level goes down, you are losing several things. It's the edge, the decisiveness, the capacity to build muscle, and the anti-side, the opposite side, is a cranky, indecisive, weak, doddery guy
with poor memory.
With poor memory, who's easy to upset.
Easy, yeah.
So we don't
So
want that. We
don't want
want a
that.
decisive warrior who's got still the ability to build muscle.
So from what you said, we should be doing, lots of walking, running, weights, sports into our old age.
Yeah. Yeah, resistance. Put yourself into a state of adversity voluntarily.
Right.
Carry
Take
your
martial
weights.
arts. Take martial
carry
arts.
your weights. Walk upstairs. Take a cold shower.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about some common meds then. Like you've got finasteride. There are some side effects of these So you go in, you say, hey, my prostate's a problem. The doctor says, yeah, it is. Gives you some medicine. Now what problems are you going to get that you didn't have before?
Yeah, Flonase is, I think, a hormonal treatment that allows the flow to be flowing. You know what's the worst? Sedentary lifestyle. If you sit on your chair a lot, you're pressing onto the prostate. The prostate is, if you stick your finger in your anus about this far in, about this distance, read between the lines. Anyway, it's about this far in, and you put your finger in there. If you've had a physical as a man, you probably had a doctor put their finger in and palpate for this thing. It's about this far as my reach goes in my body. I don't know if somebody's different, but I can find it, and it's in there. It's in and up, and that's where the prostate is, and you can feel this round object about this big, and if it feels somewhat smooth, it's a good news. It should feel sort of like a walnut. Okay. But if it feels like a golf ball, if it feels like a bigger thing, then you have a problem.
So our whole thing, and these drugs are all about blocking DHT, right?
Yeah, right. Yes.
So one of the things that I was reading about when we were researching this episode was tomatoes. They have this carotenoid in it that has DHT blocking properties. So why don't we talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, lycopene, Lycopene. Lycopene is indeed richly present in tomatoes. Awesome stuff. So the advice will be eat cooked tomatoes. It's actually accentuated in cooked tomatoes, not raw. So you want to be actually eating tomato paste. And this is a big trickery because the Italians have figured it out. Tomatoes are a nightshade plant, and as such, they produce solanine. And solanine is a thing that gives you joint pain and other inflammation.
Oh.
And so you have the good and the bad. And the solanine is most present in the skin and the seeds of the tomato. And in Italy, grandmothers make tomato paste. And the way they make it is they first scald the tomatoes and peel them, getting rid of the skin. And then they cook them, and then they strain it, getting rid of the seeds. And they're left with tomato paste. And that's what they apply on their pizza, and that's what they put into their lasagna. They don't put whole tomatoes in, they put tomato paste in.
So stay away from the whole tomatoes. Like I like an omelet, right? So what I do is I chop up the tomato and I throw it in and I cook it. And now I have some bunch of stuff in there that I don't really want.
You have the solanine to worry about. And so if you're one of the lucky people who do fine on nightshades, then no biggie. Nightshades, by the way, that's tomato, potato, bell pepper, red, yellow, and green, and eggplant. Those are the most common ones. Goji berry and ashwagandha are also from that family.
Okay.
If you're not good with those, you will get allergic reactions. For example, if you feed me eggplant, I go red face. If you feed me potatoes, I'm good one time, but if you do it 3 days in a row, my joints will hurt.
I have to watch that. I've had potatoes for breakfast because I was actually hung out for a week in a small town in Colombia with a friend of mine, and he cooked breakfast. He said, "I love to cook." I says, "Well, I love to clean." So he would cook, I would clean, and it was a bunch of fried up potatoes that came every time,
Yep.
and no problem
Right.
because it
And
was
so
over a week.
some of us are okay. Now, interestingly, all these starches are better when they're cold, cooked and cold. So, for example, potato, freshly steamed, has a higher glycemic index compared to the one that has been cooked and then made cold,
Right.
which means
So if you
potato.
cook the potatoes up and then the next day you reheated them, you would have a lower glycemic. No.
Yeah, no, you don't want to reheat them. You want to eat them cold, like potato salad.
Okay.
So, and Martin, for example, that's this guy, cooks his rice, steams the rice, and puts it in the fridge and uses it in the salad tomorrow. Cold, not hot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
what impact does heat have on lipocene?
Somehow the lycopene is released and activated in the tomato. You want it cooked.
Yeah.
Now
Okay.
you make it cooked by the fact that you're making the tomato paste. So that alone is good. But then of course you can put it on pizza, lasagna, make tomato sauce with your meatballs.
Because
course,
everybody loves tomato sauce. It's just a matter of not buying it out of the can, right?
Well, no. Well, I don't know. I don't know how they make the tomato paste that you buy in the can. Have they removed the skins and the seeds? Probably. I think they did.
You don't
Right?
see them.
There are two ways, right? One is to strain it. The other one is to crush it and mill it, right? So if they were using some high-powered blenders to make it uniform and get rid of nothing, that would be the wrong kind of tomato paste. If, on the other hand, they make it by straining away both the skins and the seeds, then you would have the right kind of tomato paste.
Right. So I guess the thing is go to the farmers markets, support your local farmer, and when you see a bottle of tomato paste made by the farmer's wife, ask her how she did it.
Yep. Right. Or make your own.
Or make your own.
Tomatoes are one of the easiest thing to grow. Like you can grow tomatoes in a pot, like a 5-gallon pot with a sweet tomato on a balcony. It'll grow like mad.
But my dad had a very small garden in the back of the yard for decades. And I'll tell you, when we knew the tomatoes were ripe, we rushed over to eat them. They were so good, but he ate them before we got there.
I would, in my old townhouse, I had 5 tomato plants, 2 of them with the Sweet Million, 2 of them with Sweet William, and 1 of them with large tomato.
So I want to make one more comment before we get into some bonus natural helpers with this, and that is that lipocene is fat soluble. So if you added olive oil to a little bit of olive oil, say, to your tomato paste, that might make it more absorbable.
Yeah, this is a classic Italian, tomato sauce and cheese. There's the fat in the cheese. You can't go wrong, right?
Right.
Except, of course, if you now are buying wheat, you have to buy wheat from Europe. You have to be importing Italian wheat because American wheat is toxic.
Right.
One, it's grown on a plant that is much higher content of gluten. Instead of 6%, it's over 12. And they are now growing it with the help of Roundup, which is
right. Speeds up the ripening process.
It causes the wheat to come out dry and uniform, better grade, better looking, but toxic.
So if we were to kind of tie this all in a bow, the message would be that your health, your activity, your vibrancy your maleness does not have to decline with age. We can use natural products and supplements that we're going to talk about in a minute to get the testosterone up, to get our prostate at the right size, and be healthy.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
So, Mark, we only have a few minutes left, and I wanted to talk about two products that you really like when it comes to the prostate. The first, I'll let you say. The link is in the comments, everybody, so you'll be able to see it there.
Yeah, it's endosterol. Endo as in inside, and sterol as in, well, all the sterols, plant sterols, especially 1,3 beta sitosterol, you would hear about as the most potent thing for men's prostate. Anyway, this is a combo of stuff, and it is made into a suppository about this size, my pinky. And this suppository is inserted into the correct neighborhood rectally. I was already talking about the rectal exam. Well, this thing is in little suppositories that go right there where they belong. And you put it right next door to the prostate, and it does an awesome job of detoxification, hormone balancing, and restoring function. It's powerful.
Whatever needs to be in there.
Right.
And it's
hey,
we have kind of uncomfortable.
We have a new guest. We have a new guest, Joe Carano. Joe, if I remember right, is a full-on chiropractor. Tell me if I'm wrong. And hey, welcome, Joe. And so now we're talking herbs for manliness. So we have indeed herbal testosterone boosters, which is the most famous one is Tribulus, 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 and that's an awesome one. And Joe also mentioned DIM, DIM, diendolyl methane, which is yay to chiropractic, by the way. DIM is found in sprouts of broccoli seeds. So, boys, broccoli sprouts on your salad is an awesome nutritional benefit.
I often have broccoli sprouts.
Yeah. Well, and look at you, strong and virile. Yeah, that too.
Okay, so we only have like 5 minutes left. What about thyroidine?
Well, and it's important to note that iodine is super important, and 20 years of deficiency in iodine will sure as anything get you problem in your reproductive organs. It's causing trouble in women, in breasts and ovaries, causing cysts, fibrocystic breast or ovarian cyst that happens to gals. And in men, it leads to prostate trouble. So do stay on iodine. Do not spare the expense. It's not big. It's just a few drops at a time.
So how would you take it? A couple of drops in a juice or a glass of water? Or
I drink a glass that's a pint size every morning. And this is a structured water that's got these beads in it. I throw in a spoonful of Himalayan salt brine. I throw in 6 drops of iodine tincture. I throw in 25 drops of humic or fulvic. What else do I add to it? Yeah, that's about it. Humic, salt, and iodine. That's my baseline.
And that's the way you start your day.
Yep. You need to hydrate first thing in the morning anyway. Yes. So thyroidine.
I am not built like a linebacker. Well,
who is built like a linebacker? Scott?
Yeah, I think he's talking.
No, Scott is a thyroid type. Scott is built like a quarterback.
Just keep on trucking. Yes. Joe says great advice. Thank you. Yeah. And then George says it works great to enhance.
Who's writing 300 pounds of muscle at age of something?
Oh, George.
George is 300 pounds of muscle at 68 years of age. Well, we saw a picture of George. He
We
shared it
got your
with.
pictures, George. It was great to see you.
Those
I
were
know what you
awesome.
look like.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
the personal touch, Joe. Not George. And as I said before, I want you on my personal detail. I want you to help me if ever I get so famous that somebody wants to cut my nuts off.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a good place to sort of end this show. Next week, we're going to be talking. No, that was this week. Next week, what are we going to be talking about next week? The most powerful remedy in the world. Okay. And Martin will argue that I'm wrong. It's not this, it's that, which is what I want to do, because I want to bring forward, right now, one of the things I want to do is bring forward things that people are being told and that are wrong. And we know that they're wrong, and we're here to correct them, or at least help you not fall into those bad habits.
So, okay, one other thing I should mention, it's called Kegel, Kegel, Kegel exercise. You want to do them. And this is the men's version of it. And you essentially squeeze, release in the pelvis as if you want to hold urine, release urine, hold poop, release poop.
And Joe, 77 years old, still works out every day. Way to go, Joe. Right. We're
Joe,
so happy you're in our lives.
Good to hear. I'm 72 and I do the same thing. Work out every day. Got to do it. If you stop, if you don't use it, you lose it.
That's right. Yeah. And I always stay at places that are on the 3rd or 4th or 5th or 9th floor and have stairs, and I take the stairs. Here, I'm on the 4th floor. There's no elevator. That forces us. So everybody, we're going to be heading over to Telegram right now. So come join us, t.me/life&co. If you're watching this later and you miss us, go there. They're archived. And we have George with the last word, heavyweights, sandbags, weight vest. I have a weight vest. I really like it for walking. Yeah. Awesome. Yep. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us.
Get a grandson. He'll ask you to carry him.
That's right. It's awesome. So, Martin, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.